Good morning, Vietnam. Back again. This time I'm going to give a discussion on, maybe a critique on, another trigonometry video. This time by a young woman called Freya India. But first, I would like to say that in my previous videos I did not mention I will not take any paid advertising, free gifts, or anything of that nature. I may put something on my desk, or have a banner behind me advertising something, but I will not take any money for anything like that. On my first 3 videos about why I moved and living in Vietnam, I would like to say that one of the really helpful things is finding a really good bank in Vietnam. I have been with VIB Bank for 10 years. Of course, you always have problems with banks, but they by far have been the best bank I've dealt with. I've opened 3 other accounts, and VIB, as many people know around the world, it's the personal service that makes a bank. More and more in America, when I was living there, it became less and less personal. The bank I dealt with the most changed hands 3 times, and then finally became a bank that, which I can't think of its name offhand, actually closed and ruined my banking ability for a few months. I'm going to look it up. I just had a quick check and I saw that the bank was Silicon Valley Bank. Initially the bank was called Santa Monica Bank. After, about 20 years, it was bought by Boston Private Bank, and then it was sold to a venture capitalist fund, and they coined it SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, and it went ass up because it was run like a tech company rather than as a bank. Anyway, it all got cleared up. Luckily, no one lost money, as I understand it, except if you deposited more than $250,000, which the FDIC can cover. So, I must say that the bank that has given me the best personal service is VIB Bank, and I highly recommend them. That being said, Miss Freya India, well, I listened to your vlog a couple of times, and to say I am disappointed is an understatement. Your vlog neglects over 100 years of history of how women like you can be in the position you are in and have the thoughts you have. In the US, women only got the right to vote in 1920. In England, it was around that time. And many suffragists died. So you can be where you are today. And I also really resent your use of the word liberal. For example, liberal, the Liberal Party in Canada is the left-wing party, left of centre. The Liberal Party in Australia is the right-wing party. So if you're going to make a vlog and title it, let's have a look again, Why I'm Worried About the Rise of Liberal Young Women. Please. My first girlfriend would beat the shit out of you. The fight of women so you can have your voice today. And I just think you're a right-wing brat, really. You write for magazines like The Spectator. Please. And your name, I'm a little confused. Freya is Nordic, but India, I got a feeling you changed your name. So it'd be interesting to find out what your real name is. I'm going to give a few examples, or at least one, because I knew the women involved in it. It was in around 1970 in Melbourne, Australia, where I grew up. So you know I lived for 33 years in the US also. I don't know how that matters, but I thought I'd throw that in. I knew a group of women who were lesbian. And they were sick and tired. They couldn't go to a pub, a drinking bar, and drink in the main public bar. The women had to go into a back room, which was called the women's bar. Who would have believed it? So these women, these dykes, they were going to these bars and try and force the barman to sell them drinks. And of course, many fights broke out. And these were small women. I mean, I knew a few of them. I lived next to them, actually. So they finally got the law changed. Women can drink everywhere. Were they liberal? Of course they were liberal. Why don't you look up the definition of liberal? So, I just looked it up. A liberal, favouring reform, open to new ideas, and tolerant of the ideas and behaviours of others, not bound by traditional thinking, broad-minded. So, also, of designating or characteristic of a political party founded on or associated with principles of social and political liberalism. Well, that doesn't hold anymore, does it? The Liberal Party in Australia is a right-wing party. Look up the history of the Liberal Party in Australia. From around 2000 to 2010, the Liberal leader, forgotten his name, John Howard. I mean, you talk about scumbag. He wanted to, and he did. He won 2 elections on the fear of the boat people, migrants, trying to get to Australia to from persecution in their countries, or just simply they were starving to death. He locked them all up on an island to deter further people coming. Australia has 25 million people. It's 3/4 the size of the US, and they can't even absorb a few thousand migrants. And he won these elections on fear. But again, it just goes to show you, as I've said in previous vlogs, the dumbing down of America is what I call it, but it's international, of course. Australians have gotten just as dumb as Americans in terms of history and who to vote for. They vote for image and likability rather than policies and humanity. So So back in 1995, I was having a conversation with my good friend. She was Australian, but she also lived in the US for a very, very long time. And she got back from Australia, and also I believe one of her nephews visited her in LA. And I also have first-hand experience of this, but she told me that parents, especially mothers, were emasculating their sons. So why are women then becoming the stronger gender? It's because they're sick to death of right-wing assholes. I mean, if you listen to these guys, these right-wing Republican guys on YouTube being interviewed, I mean, these guys are as dumb as dog shit. I mean, come on. Why do you think women are moving at least somewhat to the left? Because they want a better life. They want partners who are equal to them. I mean, I've included 2 videos by, I don't know his name, but his video name is Man Talks. And he does 2 great videos on what's happened to young men, where they've gone to, where's their manhood gone to. And of course we know, and as you mentioned, younger men are not going to university anymore in the droves they used to. Women want more. They're not going to get stuck in some right-wing relationship. And most relationships are based on common interests. Politics is one of the main ones. So you're not going to get people from different left or right of the spectrum of politics who suddenly get together and live 50 years. That rarely happens. So I get tired. I'm looking at transcript where you say about women and men who get together, failing marriage rates to be a major reason for declining national happiness. What has that got to do with liberalism? I asked a friend of mine the other day, what part of right-wing politics, anyone around the world, have good policies? Which right-wing policy actually helps 95% of the population? Ronald Reagan was close to the worst politics of all time because his idea was that you are responsible for everything you are and everything you do. Liberal women are taking responsibility for who they are and what they are doing. And your comments, modern liberal narrative betrays marriage and families as threats to personal freedom. I mean, you are nuts. I mean, I don't have no idea of your background, but I'm sorry, you're nuts. It's liberalism. FDR. Freedom. Democracy. That's giving you your life today, not your right-wing ideology. And don't use the word woke. Look it up and see what it means before you say or use the word woke. It's you right-wingers that are destroying the word. Anyway, that's all I can say. Until next time, thanks for listening, and I hope you listen to me next time.